I'm Professor Agamuthu from the Jeffrey Sachs Center on Sustainable Development of the Sunway University. First, I would like to start with the waste generation. I think we have about 14 million tons of waste generated annually. That's about 40,000 tons a day. And our per capita is 1.17 kilograms per person per day. It can range from 0.5 kilograms to 2.5 kilograms per person per day, depending on where we do the actually analysis. And unfortunately, 70 to 80% of the waste actually is discarded into the landfills and open dumps especially. And this is going to be a serious issue for the sustainable waste management. And if you look at the illegal dumping, for example, more than 10 to 20% is illegally dumped or illegally burnt, and this again causes air pollution and other environmental issues. And the target by the solid waste department is 40% by 2020, that's last year, but so far we have only achieved about 28% of recycling in some parts of Malaysia. There are 296 landfills at one time, but now only 116 landfills are currently functional. And out of these 116 landfills, 21 are actually considered sanitary landfills, but actually half of these are not really sanitary in the full sense of the word. And the highest portion of the municipal solid waste is food waste, as you can see here. 45% is food waste, and we also have plastic, which can range from 14 to 24% depending on the locality in Malaysia. And we also have heterogeneous waste like diapers, which are very, very difficult to dispose in the landfill, and it will stay there forever. And of course, the easiest option for this kind of heterogeneous waste is incineration. I must also mention two important aspects in the waste composition. One is the household hazardous waste, which is about 1 to 2%. Now, this small amount of hazardous waste causes contamination of the whole municipal solid waste, so much so that if we have problem composting the food waste or the garden waste because of the contamination. I'm talking about materials like fluorescent tubes and batteries and so on. And one more aspect that I would like to highlight in the food waste is the unconsumed food, which is about 4,000 tons a day in Malaysia. And that is a serious issue because so much resources are wasted. And when you talk about food waste, there are a lot of data. For example, 30% of the world's total energy consumption actually goes for food production. So that's a lot of energy going into the food sector. And also, it emits 22% of the greenhouse gases, which of course will contribute to global warming. And since 1970, the population is doubled, but the consumption of the material is actually increased 4 times. And this is another worrying thing because of the resources being depleted. And food security, of course, is one of the issues that is being raised even in Malaysia, because we are importing about 55 billion worth of food material from outside the country. And of course, this is also a concern for us. Now, when we talk about food waste, where actually is the food waste? Now, I'm going to look at only the Southeast Asia, which is highlighted in the diagram. The bulk of the wastage is in the agricultural production. That's about 30% we are wasting in the agricultural production itself. And another 35% we are wasting in the post-harvest and storage, which means we are not storing it properly. And then we also have distribution issues, but it's only about 10%. And processing, we are wasting 10%. And then in the distribution process, we are wasting about 15%. And finally, in the consumption stage, we waste about 10%. So this is like if you go to the buffet and make sure that you don't throw the food, and this is contributing to the unconsumed food. Okay, so if you look at the next important issue in waste management, that's plastic. This diagram actually tells you two things again. the amount of plastic generation based on the size of the circle. For example, the big producers of plastic, like for example the US or Norway, here we have Japan and China and so on. And second thing is the zone marked red, which is the unmanaged plastic. That means plastic is either illegally disposed or burned. That is the meaning of mismanaged plastic. So you can see that it's very glaring in the sense that the bulk of the mismanaged is in Asia. So you can see that mismanagement is taking place in China about 75%, or India almost 90%, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia and Philippines. So we do have a very serious issue here, mismanagement of plastic, and that is actually the cause of the pollution in the water as well as in the air. And when you talk about plastic recycling, it is a pity to realize that we claim that we are recycling 14% when 86% is actually disposed or littered. And out of this 86%, of course, we have 40% going to the landfill, which will stay in the landfill forever, incinerated 14%, and then we have leakage, another 32%, which is very worrying, because this leakage can go to the river or the sea and eventually become marine debris and also microplastics. So effectively, in the 14% recycling, we only have 2% recycling effectively. 8% we have recycling where we lose the quality, and 4% is lost in the process. Now, when we lose the quality, monetary terms, we are losing USD 80 to 120 billion in terms of material loss because of the lower quality recycling. That's actually worrying. So sometimes people may claim they have 14% recycling, effectively is only 2%. I think that's what we need to take note. And another issue is the illegal burning of the waste. And this one I can relate to the China ban. Of course, China banned importing plastic for recycling 2 years ago. And what happened is that all the plastic were siphoned to Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia and so on. So what happened is that I think about 80% of the plastic that enters the country is useless, and therefore the people who are bringing in the plastic will find ways to dispose it, so that they either do the illegal burning when the enforcement is not there, or maybe they will also illegally dispose it. So this is one of the biggest problems that we are facing here. And the other thing is that accumulation of this plastic, as you can see, it is sitting in the pool of water, causing water pollution, and eventually, of course, the physical degradation will also cause serious consequences for water pollution, and subsequently this will be going into the sea and marine pollution. Okay, so this is also a big issue in Malaysia because of the diversion of the plastic away from China. And now we move on to the Sustainable Development Goals. As I see, there are 192 world members in this organization who have adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals with 169 targets. Okay. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals, are universal. They're new and universal, and they are targets and indicators that United Nations member states will be expected to use to frame the agenda and political policies over the next 15 years. So this is something like a very important guide for us to manage the development according to the regulations. So if you look at what are the Sustainable Development Goals that actually pertains to waste management, I think all the 17 goals are relevant, but here we have some important ones more relevant than the others. For example, goal 1213 talks about reducing the food waste by half. Now, I've already told you that Malaysia, we are throwing 4,000 tons every day food waste, unconsumed food, and we should be reducing that drastically. And similarly, we have achieved environmentally sound management of chemicals and all other waste throughout their life cycle, and significantly reduce their release to the air, water and soil. Goal 12.5, reduce the waste generation. I think this is where we are talking about circular economy and extended producer responsibility. And also rationalize inefficient fossil fuel. So we are talking about green energy for the energy consumption should be green energy, and then we are moving towards green energy. Goal 8.4, we are talking about resource efficiency, because as I mentioned earlier in one of my slides, we have already increased the consumption of the resources 4 times from 1970, and I think we may be actually facing depletions of resources in the near future. And lastly, goal 11.6, we are talking about reduce the adverse per capita environmental impact of cities, including by paying special attention to the air quality and municipal and other waste. So here again, we are re-emphasizing on waste reduction and waste management. As I mentioned earlier, all the 17 goals are relevant for waste management. For example, no poverty. How is it related to waste management? As I said, 1% of the Indian population is actually informal waste collectors. Similarly, we have waste collectors from Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines and so on. Thousands of people involved in waste recycling. They are called informal recyclers. And if they don't do this, they will be actually facing poverty. So similarly, we are talking about good health and well-being from the reduction in waste pollution, and also zero hunger. We are actually wasting about $1 trillion US dollar per year of food that is actually wasted, $1 trillion US dollar. And that should be well used to reduce the hunger of the 2 billion people who are actually either not getting sufficient food or they are not getting any food at all on a daily basis. So, of course, education is the key to waste management, waste separation, and so on. So, the most important thing in the waste balanced hierarchy, which I'm highlighting the 2 important things of high priority, is that we should be seriously looking at waste reduction, sustainable consumption and production, and we are also looking at green design of products that will be environment friendly, and also landfill mining is essential so that we can reuse the landfill site productively. And if you look at circular economy, lastly, we are talking about how do we achieve zero waste. A true circular economy is zero waste. How do we achieve zero waste so that we are able to sustain the environment for a longer period? We are talking about 2 ingredients from the industry, that is disposable and durable. So durable means it can last longer. So the industrial cycle is to be sustainable, and the energy that powers has to be entirely renewable. So in the circular economy concept, energy also has to be green energy. And customers no longer considered consumers. They are not just consumers, they are users. That means they have a responsibility to return the product. So there is no waste at all in the circular economy. So finally, the way forward, we are looking at a number of options here. Number 1, first of all, we need to have reliable data. I think this is a big issue for even people like me in academia. We don't get reliable data from the relevant authorities. Standardize the definitions of waste and improve the compliance of waste-related regulations. When we talk about compliance, we are talking about proper enforcement. I think this is one of the biggest issues we are facing here. And conduct studies and communicate the costs of inaction. I think people don't realize that what do you throw and what happens to the thing, and what are the consequences if you throw it into the river, what are the inaction consequences. I think people are doing what is called life cycle analysis and material flow analysis to actually determine the cost of inactions, but it has to be disseminated so people actually know about it. And then we can also do remediation of the landfill sites or landfill mining. And then we need to use economic instruments very seriously. As I mentioned, like in India, they are already having boxes everywhere where you can dispose your bottles, and equivalent amount of cash will be credited into your account. And this has already been practiced in Australia and many other parts of Europe. I think we should seriously consider other kinds of economic instruments, including maybe tax exemption or tax reduction and so on. And lastly, there are many options for promote reduction in resources, which I've already listed here. So we can reduce the consumption, promote collaborative consumptions, and then we can also introduce extended producer responsibilities into we can incorporate circular economy. So we do have many options to enhance the waste management sustainably. And with that, these are just some of my books, and thank you very much for your patience and listening. Thank you.